After 4 months of watching my way through everything that the Gundam SEED anime franchise has to offer, making tons of videos on all the respective series and films, today I am finally sitting down and ranking everything within the Gundam SEED anime franchise from worst to best. Before I get into my thoughts though, I want to hear from you guys, so head on down to the comment section below, let me know your ranking of everything that's involved or all the stuff that you've seen, whatever it is first. And while you're there, please do leave a like on this video and subscribe if you're a fan of mecha anime content and want to see plenty more videos like this in the future. One thing I do want to make clear going into this ranking is that this will not include any of the manga. This is specifically anime stuff, so that's SEED, SEED Destiny, SEED Freedom, SEED Stargazer, and the SEED Astray MSV. All those I'm going to be talking about here, but it will not include things like the Astray manga or anything else. Kicking things off in last place at number 5 is Gundam SEED Astray MSV. Now this thing is 10 minutes long. It is a glorified promotional video for the Gundam SEED Astray manga, but for what it is, I enjoyed it, and I think it does its job very well. It sold me on the manga, which is all it needed to do really. It is intended for purely advertising purposes, but also like on its own terms as like a little, short animation. It's actually pretty good. It's like one of the best ways to possibly promote something I've ever seen. There's an intriguing setup with characters, the sort of groupings that we're following, and the fact that it does feel very different to what we've seen from SEED, where that was more of a militaristic approach. This is more diving into mercenary groups and scavengers, and it just kind of peels the layers back just a little bit more on the Cosmic Era universe. And much like everything SEED, it of course has awesome mobile suit designs as well. At number 4, we have Gundam SEED CE73 Stargazer. Now, the idea of this is excellent. There's a compelling setup for the character of Seven, and choosing to explore a different side of the Cosmic Era, much like what I mentioned with the Astray MSV, was a great idea. It explores, to a degree, kind of the Blue Cosmos section of the Earth forces, but it also explores a group of scientists that are connected with the plants. In my opinion, this does have some of the best mobile suit designs in the entirety of Gundam SEED, when you've got the Strike Noir, the Stargazer, the Blue Jewel, the Verde Buster. All these look absolutely incredible. Of course, taking elements and kind of being more upgraded versions of stuff we've seen before. Strike Noir, upgraded version of Strike. Blue Jewel, upgraded version of Jewel. You get the idea. It takes already pretty good mobile suit designs, in some cases already great mobile suit designs, and just makes them that much better. The Strike Noir, in my opinion, goes like above and beyond what the Strike is, which is an alright mobile suit, but it's not one of my favourites. Strike Noir, though, it might be my favourite from Stargazer. It might be a top 5 mobile suit in the entirety of the SEED franchise. Unfortunately, Stargazer is just brought down by its length. It's only 50 minutes long, and that is simply not enough time to tell the story that it's trying to tell. You could have fleshed this out so much more, dove more deeper into characters. There was a lot of potential with this thing. The ideas are there. The execution is pretty good for the amount of time that it's given. But like I said, if it was given that an hour and a half treatment, at least that feature length, this could have been something truly special and perhaps the best thing to come out of this franchise. At number 3, we have the original series, Gundam SEED. Of course, it is the starting point for this Gundam universe, the Cosmic Era, so it introduces us to the world, it introduces us to the characters, the conflict. Everything that we see throughout SEED is built upon this, and therefore you got to pay respect to it. I know that for a lot of SEED fans out there, having SEED only at 3rd place is going to seem blasphemous, but as someone who has seen the original Gundam series, or have seen the original Gundam movie trilogy, which is essentially the same kind of thing, I couldn't help but notice that SEED is very, very close to it. I know that's the intention. This was, at the time, supposed to be a modern-day remake of Gundam for a new generation, if you will, but to me, having seen that story played out, this follows it far too close, in my opinion, like beat by beat. But even with that said, the series does manage to, stand itself apart from other Gundam franchises, and of course the original Gundam series in, little things it does maybe with characters. There are some little plot beats here and there where it switches things up a little bit, but like I said, I've seen the original Gundam story played out, and this just felt a little bit too close to that, but still. It's got, redeeming elements to it. There's a lot of stuff that it does really great on its own terms. So it's essentially spawned a franchise and is arguably one of the most popular Gundam series, and I think for good reason. Our runner-up in 2nd place is Gundam SEED Freedom, the latest entry within this franchise, and it's definitely elevated for me by having seen it on the big screen. It's got, the flashy animation, the kind of modern day flashy animation that you'd want to see from a, modern day continuation of this franchise. It is simply a blast. I have so much fun watching this. I watched it twice now. Watched it once on the big screen, which of course, fantastic experience there. But then I also watched it at home when it came onto Netflix in Japan, and there was no subtitles for it. So I watched this thing not understanding a single word anyone was saying, bar understanding like the general context of the situation because I'd seen the film before. And even not understanding the dialogue, I still had a blast with this thing. Rewatchability is very important to me when it comes to media in general. This is easily the most rewatchable thing to come out of the Gundam SEED franchise. I can see me watching this for years to come just because it's a fun time and it's almost a comfort film to me. You got a great character art for Kira. Lacus and Kira's relationship is the best it's probably ever been in this franchise, at least in my opinion. But then you also have a massive turnaround for Shin, where he went from being one of the most hated characters within the fandom to a fan favourite, just because they made him super likeable and it works. It doesn't feel forced in any way, it feels like a natural development from where they kind of ended him off in SEED Destiny, so he just worked as a character and he was so entertaining. Don't get me wrong, it is certainly not high art, it is not the greatest storytelling that we're going to see in the Gundam franchise, something like Gundam Hathaway, which came out pretty recently. As a film, as a story, is probably objectively better and maybe more complex than what SEED Freedom is. When you get to the third act, and everything just goes batshit crazy, and you're getting so many of these like fan servicey moments that just work. It is just a film that feels like it is made specifically for the fans. It is fully aware of that. And if you're a fan of Gundam SEED, if you're a fan of Gundam in general, I think this thing is so much fun to watch. And I know that for years to come, I'm going to go back to it and watch it and always have a great time with it. But coming in first place, we have Gundam SEED Destiny. And I know this is going to be a wildly hot take to pretty much everyone within the Gundam SEED fandom, but I just love it. Athrun is far and away my favourite character in the SEED series, and he is at the forefront of this story. He's not technically the protagonist because that goes more so to Shin, but I think that he is like the forefront of this series, and he goes through such an incredible arc. He's given great characterization and just a moral dilemma that he's going through, and as someone who deeply loves this character and finds him, like I said, easily my favourite character within the SEED series, it is just everything to me that he has given such care and such a level of characterization in this series. I wouldn't say that he doesn't get it in SEED, but I think he's far more interesting to watch in SEED Destiny, which ultimately takes this series up a notch for me. And incoming with another hot take, I genuinely like Shin Asuka within this series, where I know a lot of people don't like him in Destiny because they find him too angsty and too angry all the time, and he doesn't work as a protagonist for a lot of people, but for me personally, I think that he works so well as a protagonist. Maybe he is actually a little bit more compelling than what Kira is in SEED, because you give him, like a starting point, a little bit of a backstory where he's got his family, they all get killed in this incident at Orb, that of course like ties it to the original SEED series, and you just like right off the bat, cold open with that, and it just hooks you on the character. You immediately understand him, you immediately feel for him, you empathize, you sympathize with him. And I am fully aware that there are times where he will come across as this unnecessarily edgy and angry character, but I think it works in context to what this character has been through. Everything they do with him, for me personally, works. Aside from some of the flaws that of course the series does have, and I am fully aware of those. I am not going to dismiss that this is, I'm not going to say it's a perfect series or anything like that. There are major flaws that it has, especially in pacing, the way that they essentially switch protagonists within the back half, where Kira is like the protagonist of the back half of Destiny, or at least the back third, and Shin's kind of relegated to not necessarily a supporting character as such, but he's certainly not got the same focus that he does early on. At the end of the day, when it comes to SEED Destiny, the things I like far outweigh those that I don't. I think the highs in this series are higher than really anything within the franchise, but especially the original SEED series, and you could argue that the lows are maybe a little bit lower than that. But at the end of the day, I just love Destiny unapologetically, and it is my favourite thing to come out of the SEED franchise. But there we have it, that is my ranking of the Gundam SEED anime franchise. Before I get out of here, please do leave a like on this video and subscribe if you are a fan of Mecha anime content and want to see plenty more videos like this in the future. And like I said earlier, head on down to the comment section below and let me know your ranking of the SEED anime. If you want to include the manga and stuff in there, then feel free to do so. I personally haven't read it, so I just thought it was easier to do a anime ranking as opposed to an entire Seed franchise ranking, if that makes sense. For those that are fans of Gundam Seed though, do not worry, because I will still be making plenty of Gundam Seed videos in the future. I still got to do a Mobile Suit tier list for the original Seed series. I'm planning to do a song tier list for every song that's essentially featured throughout the Seed franchise, and I'm sure there'll be video ideas that I come up with, or you guys have any, then feel free to let me know. But don't worry, this is not the end of me talking about Seed on this channel. There's still going to be plenty more to come in the future. Thank you once again for tuning into Mecha Chat today. I'll see you guys next time.